the Prophet ﷺ has this dream. And in this dream, he sees himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Muslims out there making tawaf in ihram, finishing their umrah all together. And the dreams of the prophets are revelations. So what the Prophet ﷺ saw was indeed to pass and indeed to happen. So he wakes up, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so happy, so full of joy. And he tells the Sahaba what he saw. So you can imagine, especially for the Muhajirin who hadn't been home for now 6 years, they have a chance to go to Umrah with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they're not even thinking about the consequences or the hardships that they might encounter, because surely what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw is revelation and it's going to happen. So 1,500 of the companions proceed to Mecca along with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they're in their ihram. They're not bringing the proper equipment or weaponry for battle and for war. And this puts the people of Mecca in an interesting place, because they're in Mecca, they pride themselves on, being able rivals and people that hold, some sort of ethical standard in how they treat their enemies. And they're in a difficult situation. Do we just massacre the Muslims when they come? If we do that when they come to Mecca, then we would have violated every secular religious pact that exists about how you treat the pilgrims, right? So we can't kill them all here. It's different when we're going to battle with them. Who will make Hajj then, right? If we have enmity with the tribe, it's understood that there are sacred months and sacred times, and we're not supposed to fight at certain times. So what's going to happen in that situation? So they don't know what to do. Do we fight them? Do we turn them away? Do we prohibit them? Do we, try to kill them in a way that is secretive and so people won't find out? So because of that, they have to go to the Prophet ﷺ and to these Muslims in ihram, these pilgrims, and they have to figure out a way to negotiate with them to stop them from coming to Mecca in the first place. Because if they come to Mecca, it's either humiliation for them because they were able to come do Umrah and go home without being killed, and that's a spit in the face of the people of Mecca, or we kill them and we disgrace ourselves and we violate all the covenants and all the contracts, and we become the talk of the people of Mecca in that regard. So they go out to the Prophet ﷺ and they negotiate the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And obviously, as the Prophet ﷺ is there in Hudaybiyah, he is also making concessions, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to Suhail ibn Amr in particular, who is one of the chief enemies, like not being able to write Rasulullah on the pact, not being able to write Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim on the pact. And one of those main conditions is that you have to turn back and not perform Umrah this year. So after you've already made these preparations, in exchange for peace for 10 years, where you get to do da'wah, you get to call people to Allah, you get to have your peace that you've been seeking, you have to turn around and not do Umrah this year. And that was so difficult for the Sahaba to swallow. I mean, first and foremost, you have the Umar radiallahu anhu, the people like Umar radiallahu anhu, and they're very few, right? But that are like, wait a minute, we're on the truth and they're on falsehood. Let's just go forward. Forget them, right? We'll fight them. We'll go to battle. Why are we making any concessions to them? Why are we compromising here? Why are we signing this treaty? Then you have a lot of other Sahaba that are just wanting to go to Umrah, right? They've been so excited. They've been thinking about this. They're in their ihram. And these are the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that He's pleased with, that took the pledge of Ridwan, Bay'atul Ridwan, that Allah is pleased with those people because they were willing to die going out to Mecca when they thought that Uthman radiallahu anhu was killed. And they were willing to put their lives on the line, but now we can't do Umrah. And this is a lesson for us, by the way, that sometimes the ibadah is in abstaining from something that we really want to do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah is directing us elsewhere.